Right, and to this now, the Communications Department has launched a new digital platform called DigiTech to commemorate World Telecommunications and Information Society Day. This year's theme is digital technologies for older persons and healthy aging. To discuss the initiative further and to get a little more on the process of migrating to digital terrestrial television, we're joined by the Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Minister Khumbudzo Ntshavheni. Minister, good evening and thank you very much for your time. It was not a planned conversation to have, but he is your comrade and you are in the same party. Maybe let's get your tribute and your reflections at the passing of the former mayor of the city of Johannesburg, Khumbudzo.
In my language, they'll say Adile Bohwe. Impo was not only a comrade, he was also a friend. So his passing is actually very painful to some of us because as friends, you know how it goes. Because we're expecting much from him. He was still young. He was promising as a leader of the ANC, but also the role that he played in the 6 months that he served in the 3 months that he served as a mayor of the city of Johannesburg. The country came to experience him. So I want to send out my heartfelt condolences to his family, to our comrades in the ANC in Johannesburg and Gauteng, but also to everybody who was friends to him, but also to the people of Johannesburg for losing yet another mayor. And we hope that the trend will not proceed, will not continue, but we want to say may his soul rest in peace. May we continue to carry on his on the legacy of his work. You heard the mayor of Johannesburg, Dr. Palazzi, talking good about the work that he was doing, because ours is not to do politics, ours is to serve the people of South Africa. And we are happy to have been associated with him. We are happy that he has left a legacy and a mark, and we can all speak greatly about him, not because he has passed, but because we have witnessed the good of his deed.
Yeah. Speaking of great service in a short span of time, you yourself having just come into this portfolio, you have notched up a couple of successes since coming on, including the fact that you had auctioned the spectrum, which is something that really has taken just over a decade to actually come to fruition. What else would you say would have been your successes that you've notched up in the couple of months that you've been on?
I think the other one is the broadcast digital migration. I know in your intro you said we were going to talk about it. The broadcast digital migration agenda had been silent in the country for a while now, but the speed at which we have moved even to do the installations of set-top boxes. And it doesn't matter what the Concord decides. The bottom line is that the Concord is going to decide that there must be a date, that the dual illumination must end and South Africa must go fully digital, and that's what we are ready for. And for me, the opportunities that arise from there, I can only say it's because of those dedication, and it has not been easy with the team. We have been pushing, we have been demanding, we have been doing all sorts of things. I remember when we were hoping that on the 31st of March, there were teams that had not slept for almost 6 weeks running because we were distributing set-top boxes. We were going wherever, we were looking for people we could not find because some of them had applied in 2012, 2013, and the teams had to go because we needed to find them unless we could have a death certificate that says this person is not there or this person has moved. So for me, that is another success. But also the platform that we're talking about today, the DigiTech platform, it's for me, it's amazing work, and the opportunities that will arise for this country, not the SMMEs only, but for this country through that platform, they are unmatched and unparalleled. So for me, those successes, because they make an impact on South Africans, but also on the economy of this country. Yeah. The broadcast digital migration, as we're talking now, has enabled more than 900 installer companies to get work. It has employed over 18,000 people in this short space of time to just get work, and they kept busy. But it has also allowed us a pool of people, because those who are doing installations, we're going to use them on SA Connect. It allows South Africa to build a pool of technical skills that we can then use into the digital infrastructure world as we march in, and I'm confident that we're going to march in because the phase 2 of SA Connect is coming in. And maybe another success which I had forgotten, we did not only auction the spectrum, we made sure that the telcos have obligations to connect schools, to connect clinics and hospitals, to connect traditional authorities. That was never envisioned before, but the fact that that is on on the path and it's going to be done in the next 36 months, for me, it's a brilliant achievement because it concretizes our steps towards the digital, bridging the digital divide in this country.
Yeah. Your insistence on this move towards digital migration, many are saying it might trip you up, particularly in that aspect, having auctioned the spectrum, that you will have a large number of people who have not migrated, and therefore those who bought the spectrum will not be able to access it at this point.
Let me clarify that. On 5 provinces, Limpopo, Northern Cape, Northwest, Mpumalanga, and Free State, the spectrum has been cleaned, it's available, so it's going to be immediately available on the 1st of July. So where we are, and we have not had an uproar of people who are saying we have been left out. There are people here and there who said, oh, we never took this serious, we never applied for support and whatever. But we said, you can still apply now and we're going to connect you. So there is no such a thing that we're going to leave a lot of people behind. That is not going to happen. But the spectrum is going to be available. We continue to work to make sure that we switch off as and when the work is completed. And remember, what has been happening is that we had a threshold to say when we reach this threshold, we're going to switch off. And when we switch off, we respect and make it available. So where I'm sitting, I do not see the Concord saying we cannot end dual elimination. The Concord will say you'll end dual elimination on this date. But it is not going to trick me up. Is that the only thing is that National Treasury, because we have made those arrangements, National Treasury will then not be able to access the 14.4 billion immediately. That is the issue. And me and you know that with the disasters in the KZN and Eastern Cape and all other challenges that our country is facing, the national fiscus really needs that 14.4 billion so that we can plug the other developmental holes that are there. But where we are sitting is that there will be a date. It might be delayed, but that date will come, and that migration will happen in this country, and we cannot be held behind.
Yeah, I'm deliberately pushing the DigiTech conversation to the next segment because I don't want to rush you to quickly get to the commercial break before you expand fully on that program. So let's take a break. Let's keep you on, and when we come back from the break, then we'll have enough time for us to expand a little bit more on the DigiTech platform which you are launching this week. I'm joined there by the Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni. More on that when we continue next. Back with us tonight here on In Focus, in conversation with the Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Minister Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, and we've just spoken about the migration to digital terrestrial television. Now let's speak about this new platform. One of the things that, Minister, you have envisioned, and you've already mentioned this, is that part of the relieving of the spectrum is that you'll be able to bring in more people into the space, but not only that, give some free data to the communities as well, which you will tell us exactly how you plan to fund that. But let's talk about DigiTech and why you describe this platform as a groundbreaking development for SMEs in South Africa.
So let me take you back to the story how I announced that we are going to do it. If you recall, last year when we had just been appointed, when Facebook decided to switch off the Facebook because they were under cyber attack and they did not want to risk it, so they shut themselves down to protect their own. And the question was, Minister, application, I'd rather comment on how South Africa uses its own digital products. And then I said, why if we had supported Mixit, where would the country be? Because Mixit was there before even Facebook was there. And then I was dragged on Twitter because South Africans did not know that they had Moya app. That time Moya was already having more than 3.5 million subscribers. They had Chit Chat Cool, which already was also having almost more than 2 million subscribers. South Africans did not know. And I was saying to myself, what if South Africans knew there were platforms that were equivalent to those that are done overseas? Why wouldn't they choose them? Then we decided, okay, because people do not know that we've got these opportunities, let's then bring this platform online. So we then developed DigiTech and we brought it online. We went around, we got startups and some SMEs to then put their developed apps on there. But what was interesting that other people, when they realized there was DigiTech, when they were experimenting with digital products or apps, then they came to us to say, look, my product is not proper, but can I sign it up? Would you mind? And we said, no, we won't mind. That's what we need. We want you to sign up so that we can then help you to complete the development of your product, monetize it, and market it, and also make sure that if it's possible, government must do and must adopt it for use. And why we say it's groundbreaking is because currently we're working with CETA and National Treasury in terms of the CETA regulations and the supply chain management regulations to say how do we make sure that government uses technology that is developed in the country for its own adoption. And I like to use the example of Zoom. When we started, Zoom was not perfect. It had mistakes. Nobody did Zoom until it becomes a very strong platform that all of us are using now. But what if we had invested in that as government or as South Africans or as Africans on the same energies that we have invested on making Zoom to work to a platform like SoftMeets or Natel in South Africa that is ours. And I'll go back to also an example of M-Pesa that was done in Tanzania and then it took off in Kenya. What if Africa had adopted it and we all embraced it and used it? What would be the impact? Because M-Pesa was there before I think it was there with PayPal, one of the first fintech or payment systems, online payment system. M-Pesa would be big in this continent, but M-Pesa would be big in the world, and that would have made the growth of the economy in Africa. Yeah. The difference is that the economy has become digital. You cannot continue to be consumers of digital products. You must then become producers of digital products so that they can be consumed by elsewhere, because that's where you are going to make money, including how you run your household, if I may just use that example. The way you open your gate with a remote control, that is digital, and it's going digital, full-blown, full-scale. You don't have to be home to open your gate. And that's why we're saying, what if we support those applications that are done in South Africa, not only for them to be there, but for them to be used and adopted? And we want to promise that government will be the first adopter of these technologies to give them opportunities for them to exist and to succeed.
Use and adoption, I suppose, are the key words, because products can be developed and you need then that more people will adopt and use the application. But the challenge here is data is expensive in South Africa. So you've come up with a solution to say, well, you'll be able to give 10 gigabytes a month for every citizen. How are you going to do this? Who is going to pay for this? Are you just going to ask companies to give away their data? Others are saying, Minister, that's the strongest form of socialism. It doesn't work.
And, I'm not a socialist. I come from a feudal system. So I've never been a socialist. I've been oriented maybe on a communal spirit. So that's who I am. And so I would not want to and it's good that the ANC embrace both socialists, capitalists, and everybody. That's what they call us a project. So so the telcos, when I made that announcement, I want to narrate the story. When I sat down, all the CEOs of the telcos said, Minister, we cannot afford it. And I said, but who said I want it from you? The problem that we have as South Africans, we have never thought of how do we optimize the resources that we have so that we can use them for the general good. We are currently, I've announced today in my budget speech, we are currently finalizing a policy on spectrum and also on data in the country, which we are going to make available for public comments in July. That will indicate, because first our commitment is that data is a public utility because it enables innovation, but it also enables economic participation and social participation. Because today, if you don't have data, you may not be able to apply for your social grant. If you don't have data, you may not be able to go to school, what we have seen during COVID. If you don't have data, you may not be able to access healthcare, even when it's public healthcare. So data has become a real public utility that we must make it available, like we make available free basic water and free basic electricity. And the question is, will 10 gig be sufficient free data? And by the way, on the Twitter, they say we do not, South Africans do not deserve free data, so they've been telling me to slow down on the free data. But in terms of the policy, the drafting that we have proposals on how we're going to use the resources that we have, not asking for additional funding, to make sure that free data becomes available in a way that also includes the expansion of the telecommunication sector. I don't want to talk about the details now because the policy is going to come out in July, the latest. We're just finalizing the participation, but we are committed to giving free data to South Africans. Even if we don't have to give to everybody, but to give to those that are classified as indigent in this country.
How do you plan to do that? I mean, I don't see it unless you're going to partner with business. So, government is not in the business of data. You don't sell data. There's no way where you have a bucket load of data that you can sell to people. So how are you going to do it?
I'm not planning to replace business. Business will provide the data. The entrepreneurs in the telecom space will provide the data to South Africans. I'll give them the incentive. I don't know if you have learned. That thing called other people's money. That's what I was saying. Other people's money. And the other thing they trained me on is to say you must make people an offer that they cannot resist, no matter how difficult that offer is. So I've got a couple of aces on my sleeve, so let's wait for July. I'm going to come back to your show and we'll talk about that policy when it comes out in July, what we are proposing, so that I don't want my boss to fire me for announcing major things without cabinet sign-off. So then allow me to go to cabinet. Right. At least I want to keep my job.
All right. Speaking of an offer you can't refuse, you refused Mark Barnes' offer. Why? I mean, people are saying you should have just sold the post office.
And the people who say the post office must be sold is people who do not know the value of the post office. The problem is that as South Africans, we tend to focus on the negative and we believe that our problems are insurmountable. And it's not true. The post office is very critical in terms of making sure South Africans have access to services. The post office is the only entity of government, or is the only institution of government that is available across the country. Everywhere there is a post office. I know some of them have been closed, but we are going to work on reopening them. Today we have outlined how we're working on reopening them, and I think in the month of August, if not June, we're going to be announcing again the progress we've made on digital hubs. The post office, in the age of digital technologies, in the age of a digital economy, is the trust center of the country. That means your biometric identities and whatever, they are held by the post office. So the digital signatures are held by the post office. So there's no way we're going to sell that. That must remain within the purview of government. That must remain within the scope of government. We're going to work with a private sector, partner with them on how to make the post office advance and deliver certain things. But we're confident that the post office will turn around. And I'm telling you now that next year we'll be talking a different story about the South African post office.
Minister, I appreciate you making time to come on. I'll hold you to your promise. I know how hard it was to get you to come on tonight. In July, hopefully we'll get you a little bit sooner.
I'll improve. In July, I'm coming back to I'm definitely coming back. My people are listening. They'll make sure I'm available. First stop, July.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies there, Minister.